Pamoja Tutashinda, brothers and sisters. Together, we will win. This is Kafing Mwafrika Moore, your host and producer of Visions of Our People, bringing you part 2 of a sermon by Jaramogi Abebe Ageyman, also known as Reverend Albert B. Clegg Jr., founder and first Holy Patriarch of the Shrines of the Black Madonna of the Pan-African Orthodox Christian Church, and author of The Black Messiah and Black Christian Nationalism. In part 2 of Jaramogi's sermon entitled Religion and Power, that he preached June 30th, 1968 at the historic Shrine of the Black Madonna No. 1 in Detroit, Michigan, he talks about how our conception of God is confusing, how God works through people, and that God is not going to do it for us. Here's Jaramogi Abebe Ageyman, also known as Reverend Albert B. Clegg Jr., with part 2 of his sermon on Religion and Power.
Now, what do you think Christians in Vietnam are thinking? You know, there are Vietnamese Christians, too. Oh, they look around and you have no idea what they have put up with. They shooting them down, burning them up, raping the women, everything. And yet they still going into the church, still praying. And do you think that there are not some Vietnamese right now looking up to heaven wondering what in the world is going on up there? I mean, talk about good religious people in Vietnam. And there are these American white people over there just tearing up everything. And they know that these American white people couldn't possibly have any reason to have God on their side. So it looked like the world is kind of twisted around. Like it doesn't make too much sense religiously. And that's what the psalmist is saying. That's why he's crying out to God. And then the psalmist says, not only our conditions are miserable, thou hast given us tears to drink in full measure, you've given us the scorn of our neighbors, our enemies laugh among themselves at us. Then he goes on and says, thou hast cared for us in the past. That's kind of pathetic, isn't it? He's pointing back. He said, look back. He said, now, I didn't look around here today. It's terrible. But I look back. You have helped us in the past. And then he says, restore us, O God of hosts. Let thy face shine that we may be saved. That's a tremendous faith. Look around. Everything is miserable. Look back. Say, you used to help us. Help us again. That's all he's saying. Help us again today like you helped us in the past. And then he even lists in the scripture, thou didst bring a vine out of Egypt. That is, he brought Israel, brought him out of bondage and captivity in Egypt. Thou didst bring a vine out of Egypt. He's saying it pretty now. Thou didst drive out the nations and plant it. That is, he brought a vine out of Egypt. He cleared the land in the promised land, and he planted the vine that he brought out of Egypt, saying that this vine belonged to him. He picked it up and brought it out of Egypt, brought it into a promised land, cleared the land nice and planted it there. It took root and filled the land. Israel prospered in the promised land. They look back and say, you did this for us. You brought us out of Egypt. You planted us in the promised land. You cleared the land and everything. We took root, we prospered, and now look at us. Why did you turn your back? Why then hast thou broken down its walls, that all who pass along the way pluck its fruit? And still using Israel as a vine. You took it out of Egypt, you planted it, cleared the land, let it grow, and now look like you just, you know how you do when you have a beautiful little thing, a vineyard or something, you put a fence around it so people don't mess with it. He said, now you came around here and knocked all the fence down so everybody can mess with us. Anybody just walk by, take our fruit, pull a vine, pull something off the vine, anything. We just have no protection whatsoever. He said, you brought us here, put us in this condition, made us prosper, and then took down all our defenses. Made us ridiculous in the eyes of the world. Come, any wild boar can run in here and just tear down the thing. Why do you do that, God? Turn again, O God of hosts. And then this is beautiful here, because you'll understand this so well. May our enemies perish. This is in the Bible now. May our enemies perish at the rebuke of our conscience. You know, get all through God, do this other thing, and then finally end up just wherever a human being ends. There may be, God may end someplace else, but when folks are mistreating you, end up, may they perish. And that's what he's judging God by. Our enemies are running over us, they're abusing us, they're mistreating us, and may they perish. Same thing. Same thing. Then, today, every time. It's the conception we have of God that confuses us. All through the Old Testament, when they pointed back to Egypt, God didn't come down and walk around in Egypt. You read the Old Testament, there ain't a place in there where God walked around in Egypt and did something. What he did, he called Moses way off in Midian. He had the burning bush, and Moses saw the burning bush. Moses heard the message. Moses said, my people are suffering oppression and bondage in Egypt. Moses said it. He said, God has revealed this to me. I've seen a burning bush. I've got a vision. I know I've got to go back. He said, I don't want to go. It's too hard. And I know those people are stubborn back there. They're not going to do right. I've got to go. And that was the compulsion that God placed on Moses. Now, suppose there hadn't been any Moses. Suppose there hadn't been any Moses. What could God have done then? That bush could have burned or it could have still been burning if there hadn't been a man to be moved by God. We talking about we want God to do it. God works through people. God works through people. God has no hands but ours. Now you can sit there and sit on your hands and you got God paralyzed. God can't do it. Moses came back, went into Egypt, took a chance, risked his life, argued with those stubborn people day after day, telling them, you can be free. It wasn't God. God had inspired Moses. I don't know how that works. I'm not going to run that down. I don't know how God inspires people. But he does sometimes. All I can do is say, God inspired these people. That's all I can say. I don't know how it happens or when it happens, but until it happens, you can cry to God from now on, and nothing is going to change. God's not going to do it for you. God's not going to do it for you. You can make yourself a Moses if you will. You can accept the inspiration of God if you will. And then your people, our people, my people will be led by God through you. Through you. Now, we don't have to get confused. That seems so simple. Why do we get so hung up about it? You know why? Because it's easier to just put down a beautiful prayer. Run it down. You know, like we are the rappingest people in the world. And that goes back to our prayer days. You hear Black Militant out, he just running it down. A few years ago, he'd have been a big deacon running it down at prayer meeting. Because there's no more meaning to one than there was to the other. Because he doesn't intend to do anything, and neither did the deacon. Deacon run it down at prayer meeting every week. God, we got problems. As if God didn't know it. We got problems, God. People ain't acting right. Straighten them out. Tell us what to do. Every week, week after week after week. Looked like one of them Wednesday nights he'd have figured out. Doesn't it look like one of them Wednesday nights he said, look at here, maybe I'm supposed to do something. It's easier to just keep on rapping. Rap to God, rap on the corner, just rap. It's easier. Because there's nothing hooked up with it. Oh, you can run it down how bad off we are today, and we are. We bad off, and we get worse. Not better. Everything is going to get worse and worse. Now, we can just keep on talking about it, how bad it is, and we can come, we can get more religious, get down on our knees, pray louder, and think God's going to take care of it. God's not going to do a thing. When it gets real bad, we're all in a concentration camp, we'll put a little shrine in the camp. And we'll keep on praying that somehow God will take down the fences and let us out. Ain't going to do it. If we such fools and we let them put us in there, we ought to be in there. We ought to be in there. God ain't going to keep us out of the concentration camp unless we do something. He ain't going to get us out if we fool enough to get in there unless we take the fences down and go on out. Everything that faces us today, our misery, is ours. We are not doing anything. You look all over this country. We are not doing anything. We feel now. We believe. We want to be free, but we're not doing anything. We have yet to translate the desire to be free into program. We aren't doing anything. We are still going through the same religious motions, are waiting for God to do it for us. Oh, Lord, how long will thou be angry with thy people's prayers from now on? Because prayer is supposed to get you ready to do something. That's what it's supposed to do. If you pray and think that's the end, then you just short-circuited your whole relationship with God. When you get through praying, you ought to be ready to run out there in the street and get something going. Do something that's necessary. Build some kind of program. Moses heard God and Moses came back. Isaiah went into the temple and he had a vision of God. He went out and worked to free Israel. Isaiah did it. God didn't come out anywhere. Isaiah did it. All of the prophets who went to the people, they took a program to the people. God didn't do it. And that's what's our weakness. We still sitting around waiting for God to do it for us. It was excusable during slavery days. Nobody could have held it against us because we didn't know any better. Old Master told us that's the kind of God there is. That's the way he works. And we didn't know any better because it was his God anyway, and we figured what he said about him ought to be true. And he was white too. But what excuse is there today? Why are we still sitting around waiting? And you say, well, I ain't sitting around, I'm doing something. You ain't doing much, brother. Sisters too. I'm particularly talking about us. I don't, you know, them others out there, they do whatever they're going to do. But we got to do something. We've got to somehow get a conscious redefinition of our relationship with God.
Brothers and sisters, you have been listening to part 2 of a sermon by Jaramogi Abebe Ageyman, also known as Reverend Albert B. Clegg Jr., first Holy Patriarch and founder of the Shrines of the Black Madonna of the Pan-African Orthodox Christian Church, and author of The Black Messiah and Black Christian Nationalism, entitled Religion and Power. Join us again for part 3 of his message on Visions of Our People.